بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين رحمة للعالمين بالقاسم محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين أما بعد فقد قال الله تعالى في الكتاب الحكيم وهو أصدق الصالحين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وننزل من القرآن ما هو شفاء ورحمة للمؤمنين صلوات الله One of the goals of the lectures is to prompt you to think about the importance of the Quran in the hearts and minds of the Muslims. We are almost unanimous in saying that. We know the ritual use of the Quran quite well. We have ritualized the Word of God and we use it whenever we need it. And I don't see that it is illegitimate to do it. If one of the purposes of the Quran is to heal, to give you better health, then you should be able to do that. And for any better health, in terms of the spiritual health, you need to read or remember or do the dhikr as much as possible. Reading the Quran, recitation of the Quran is dhikr. And the more you read, the more you benefit from it. Spiritually, I'm talking about. I'm not talking about what you learn from it. But that requires more effort. The main objective of our lectures and our meetings has been to spark and to raise in you awareness of not only the spirituality but also the morality of the Quran. Whenever we talk about the morality, we are talking about the human relationship. وَنُنَزِّلُ مِنَ الْقُرْآنِ tells us one very important thing, that it's a nuance of the Quran to say that, and this is only peculiar about the Quran, by the way. All the previous scriptures don't talk about themselves as a scripture. If you look at the Hebrew Bible, it doesn't say that it is a scripture from God. It gives you the human-God interaction in the form of narratives, in the form of stories. So there is the book of Genesis, there is the book of Exodus. All these books of the kings and the prophets, they are telling us the history of human beings when they are interacting with the message that comes from God. The Quran is a unique scripture in that sense when it says, I am the Quran. It's very peculiar to the Quranic way to say that I am the one who should be read. You should read me as much as possible, because I am the one who is supposed to be read. وَنُنَزِّلُ مِنَ الْقُرْآنِ. That means Quran is pre-existing somewhere from where these verses are given at the time when they are needed. I'm not going to talk about the supernatural aspect of it. What I'm saying here is that the Prophet ﷺ is being prepared for a heavy dose of the message that he's going to give. Surah Muzammil, keep that ayah in mind. Qawlan Sachedina. Dr. Surush has a book. I don't know if you have seen the book. I think you know only one or two books of his, but one of these books is, he's talking about what we call a gradual increase in the responsibility of the Prophet to spread the message that is going to be given to human beings. Gradual. If you look at the surahs in Makkah, وَالشَّمْسِ وَالضُّحَاهَا وَالْقَمَرِ إِذَا تَلَاهَا وَالنَّهَارِ إِذَا جَلَّاهَا قُلْ يَا أَيُّهَا الْكَافِرُونَ لَا أَعْبُدُ مَا تَعْبُدُونَ. Each one is giving a short script and a message that is coming to us in a very precise way. That message is supposed to be telling us something more easily understandable. If you look at the Meccan surahs, they are more dramatic. Al-Qariyatu mal-Qariya, wa ma adraka mal-Qariya. Oh, you are looking at, وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا سَجَى وَالنَّهَارِ إِذَا تَجَلَّى. All these ayats are small, specific message that is coming to you to tell you about the signs that are celestial. You see the moon, you see the star, you see everything. It's a shamsu kubbira. وَإِذَا النُّجُومُ قُدِّرَ. You are looking at the signs of the nature. But what is not coming to you is that, what then? Now I know the signs of God. I know my own body. You see the surah, Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq. That surah is also talking about you. عَلَّمَ الْإِنسَانِ مَا لَمْ يَعْلَمْ. عَلَّمَ الْإِنسَانِ مَا لَمْ يَعْلَمْ. What exactly is human being taught? I want to emphasize the two words that I have identified in the verse that I recited. نُنَزِّلُ مِنَ الْقُرْآنِ مَا هُوَ شِفَاءٌ وَرَحْمَةٌ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ. So I spoke about shifa, but I haven't said anything about the rahmah. If you pay attention to the Quran, please, when you read, remember what I've said. When you go to Surah Al-Mu'minun, the last verse of the Surah Al-Mu'minun, does anyone remember? Does anyone know? The last verse of Surah Al-Mu'minun, maybe my friend from Mogadishu, maybe he knows. The last verse of the Surah Al-Mu'minun, the Prophet is being taught. Listen to this carefully. قُلْ رَبِّ اغْفِرْ وَارْحَمْ أَنْتَ خَيْرُ الرَّاحِمِينَ. All the signs of the Prophet are given. I must mention it very clearly that when al-Mu'minin Aisha was asked, how did you see the Prophet? And this was Sa'id ibn al-As who was asking the question to al-Mu'minin. He says, tell me about the Prophet. Tell me about the Prophet. And this lady is saying, haven't you read the Quran? Who is the Quran? Haven't you seen the Quran? The Prophet was the Quran. Haven't you read Surah Al-Mu'minun? The first 10 ayah is talking about the Prophet Muhammad and his teachings to all of us. She's responding, by the way. This is a famous mutawatir hadith. Everybody is quoting this. It's important to remember that the way she described the Prophet is very important to keep in mind that he is totally, existentially the Quran. Are you getting the sense? Existentially, the Prophet is exemplifying the totality of the Quran. What is she talking about? She's talking about the akhlaq of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It is very important to keep in mind. We always consider two aspects in any reality. This is a book. Reality explains, identifies it as a book. This is known as Surah Al-Zahir. Externally, this is a book. But it's not ordinary book. Because the title is telling you a very ambitious aim of the book. Akhlaq in the Quran. There are 6 volumes, by the way. This is only one. And I'm summing it up in one ayah of Surah Al-Mu'minun. I want you to remember and not forget this ayah, because this ayah you and I need to read very, very often, all the time, as part of the zikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Rabbi ighfir warham. Oh my Lord, forgive me. And be kind to me. Be kind. Anta khairur rahim. You are among the most kind. Isn't that beautiful? Doesn't that humble you? All the arrogance disappears. And the words are put in the mouth of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam by saying, Qul, O Prophet, say it. It's not somebody ordinary talking to the Prophet. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking to the Prophet. Say, O Muhammad, what do you say? Rabbi ighfir. Please. Ya Allah, forgive me. Forgiveness is one of the important stepping stones of perfection. Because we fall short all the time. It's a fact of matter. All the time, whatever you do, by the way, is never perfect. You fall short. If we keep the ayah, that the Quran has come for a specific purpose, ننزل القرآن فيه شفاء ما هو شفاء ورحمة للمؤمنين. There's a cure and there is shifa and there is, kindness. All this, whether it is a Project Hope or whatever project we undertake, if only we can see the suffering of the people on the borders of Syria, on the borders of Iraq and Syria, on the border of, Syria and Turkey. You go to Turkey, you see the refugees, you see thousands and thousands of people, homeless. You can't even imagine what the children go through. The life of the child, how much we pamper our children in this part of the world. How much we pamper them. They should not fall. If they fall, how should we take care of them? All of these things are part of what we call our upbringing in the civil society. Part of the civilization tells us these children are the future of humanity. They are the ones who will grow up and will become something. Therefore, we need to invest in them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created one particular value to touch upon all of these things. Warham anta khairur rahimin. Oh my Lord, you are among the many others who show kindness to us. In other words, there is this, by the way, there is this recognition that not only Allah shows you the kindness, your mother shows you the kindness, your father shows you the kindness, your neighbor shows you the kindness, your citizen shows you the kindness. Otherwise, they are not fit to be human beings. Are you with me? If we can't show kindness, there's nothing left. There's nothing left. تو که از غم دیگران بی خودی نشاید که نامت نهند آدمی. You who are so neglectful about others' feelings, you are so inconsiderate about what happened to others, it's not proper to call you a human being. نشاید که نامت نهند آدمی. In the United Nations, they picked 2 or 3 of these verses of Sheikh Saadi, by the way. They have made them, they have actually printed. There's a wall in the United Nations. On the wall they have this. And the other thing they're trying to put on the wall is what Imam Ali said when he sent Malik ibn Ashtar to Egypt. That people are of 2 kinds. Either they are your brethren in your religion or they are your fellow human beings equally created with you. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Can you see the spirit of the Quran, the way it is entering Amir al-Mu'mineen? Amir al-Mu'mineen, you will be surprised. You read this, you hear in this majlis, by the way, majlis, you know, on the 22nd of Ramadan, I'm not sure what day, on 22nd of Ramadan, Imam Hassan is passing. After the Siffin, Imam Ali came to Kufa. He was waiting. In the meantime, the Khawarij were making problems for Imam Ali. I want to bring this history. I'm drifting away from my topic, by the way, but it's so important for me to see victimhood. When a person becomes victim. So important to realize how people are victimizing other peoples. Whether it is in Syria, it is in Pakistan, it is in Africa, wherever it is. There's totally victimization of those who are helpless. Either the political leaders are so corrupt, the administration is so corrupt in third world countries. You find everywhere human beings are suffering. My brothers and sisters who are seated here very comfortably, I want you to take yourself once in a while to those border places, to experience what does it mean to be awara watan, to be a refugee. You can't even imagine, you can't even think, because we are not in the frame of mind that will bring that kind of suffering in our understanding. I get excited. And I need to explain myself, by the way. And I need to seek an apology from you. When we take the Quran and put it in our head, it's an innovation. There were no copies of the Quran during the time of the Prophet for everybody to keep the Quran on their head. and to ask God's mercy. What you and I do. For hundreds of years we have done it. But I want you to understand that when you honor a text and you begin to kiss it, use it whenever it serves your purpose, then you need to recognize that there are some etiquettes for it. I'm not getting excited if you don't say Bika Ya Allah aloud. I get excited when I don't hear you saying it, because you have this book on your hand. This is the sunnah of our ulama, not even the imams. If somebody tells you dua iftatah is from imam, they are telling you a lie. Do research and find out who reported this dua. In order to increase the importance of the dua, oh, this is from Imam Sahib, this is from this imam, this is... No, it's not that easy. It's not that easy. No. You love the book because it is your source of guidance. And you're asking Allah, saying, Allah, no, Ya Allah, for the sake of this guidance did you send me, Ya Allah, please help me out. Don't ritualize without realizing the spirit behind it. It doesn't happen. Takes away the spirit from you. Please, 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 don't ritualize religion. Because then you are more prone to abuse it. You are more prone to ignore it and not realize what this book is doing for you. I told you yesterday, and I did not complete my story. I jumped, because I'm only for 5 days, so I jumped from topic to topic. Do forgive me. And do ask your questions if there is something missing in what I'm saying. I told you the story of Ibn Khaldun. I told you what the scholars have done. What the Western scholars are saying in general is that Muslims have no ethics. So all of the Orientalist scholarship is that Muslims don't know what is ethics. If they know ethics at all, then it is Aristotelian ethics. That is, it is Greek heritage that has come to Islam through the translation of Greek works into Arabic. Fine, I have no problem. It's true, some of our scholars wrote a commentary on Aristotle's Nicomachean Ethics. They commented on the book. These were bright scholars. Ibn Sina was a bright scholar. Ibn Sina was no ordinary scholar. He opened the books of the Greeks, translated into Arabic, but then he said, what had they translated this word from? Let me see the origin of this word. That's how he started writing commentaries. So when he wrote his book on medicine, Al-Qanun fi Tib, he took the Greek medicine and he brought it into what we call experimental medicine, because he was a practicing physician. As a physician, he knew how to treat the patients. So each medication that he used, this is Ibn Sina. You want to see the article? See it in the Encyclopedia of Bioethics. The article written by someone on Ibn Sina. That Ibn Sina used to have a medical protocol. He used to say that you can't experiment on animals and draw conclusions about the application of that medication for human beings. You need to apply those, you need to experiment the medication for human beings in human beings and then make a decision that this is okay. Now he doesn't say, I went further in my book, saying that Even for women, if we want to write prescription for women, then we need to experiment for women their own medications and draw the conclusions. We can't generalize what applies to men also applies to women. This is the requirement, this is the protocol of experiments that we do. Ibn Sina wrote a commentary, which is amazing. My brothers and sisters, where are you? It's amazing. There is a small volume, Psychology of Ibn Sina. And that Psychology of Ibn Sina, by the way, it's been translated by Professor Fazlur Rahman of University of Chicago. And he wrote about how Ibn Sina used to treat people with psychological ailments. What did he do? How did he do? Yesterday, in last lecture, I said, Ibn Khaldun does not mention any book on ethics. I also told you that Ibn Khaldun lists the history of Muslim sciences. By the way, he has a section on chemistry, he has a section on physics, he has a section on engineering, how the bridges can be built. This is Ibn Khaldun. We think that, oh, you know, Mr. John and Tom are the ones who have done this work. Ibn Khaldun is the first sociologist who understood and who wanted to understand cultures, world cultures. How do the cultures operate? What happens? Where do people get their values from? How do they become human beings of this kind of achievement? Ibn Khaldun has a history book. And the title of the history, does anyone know? Does anyone know what history book he wrote? It is in 10 volumes. Muqaddimah is the prolegomena. Before he wrote the history, he wrote these 3 volumes. But then he wrote history. He was prolific in his writing. I don't know, no computers, no nothing. And they were able to write these things. It's shame on us who can't produce a chapter, without thousands of, copies that we make. His history is entitled Al-Ibar. It means examples. Ibrat. We talk about Ibrat. We talk about what we call examples. History, you and I, even when we are doing today modern studies of history, our purpose in teaching our children history is to give them examples. Am I right? We make them read the history of Canada. We make them read the history of the United States. Then the history of Ontario. Then the history of Toronto. And you go into more and more and more specific. And when they get to the PhD level, then they know everything. This is known as comprehensive history of Ontario. We teach them so that they can learn from the examples. The Quran says, كَانَ فِي قِصَصِهِمْ إِبْرَةٌ لِأُولِي الْأَلْبَابِ. In their stories, there are examples to be learned by those who relate those stories. This is the last ayah of which surah? No. This is Surah Al-Yusuf. Surah Al-Yusuf is the story and the history of Nabi Yusuf alayhi salam. It's one of the most complete narrative in the Quran. In the last ayah, Allah says, in these stories that we are relating to you, the purpose is to teach you moral examples. Moral examples. Why do we need moral examples? You and I, we are so smart people. Now, what moral are you teaching us? Haven't you heard your sons telling you, your daughters telling you, hey mom, stop telling us these examples. We already know them. Yes, they know everything. They're smarter than us. Especially children here. Oh, mashallah. There's nothing wrong for them to claim the smartness over us. It's our duty to educate ourselves first, so that we can talk to them at their level. They are very much advanced. They can go and find anything they want. They go online and they are more smarter than you are. I'm still illiterate when it comes to online, internet. I don't know much. Honestly, I don't. I don't even know my phone very well. My children are the ones who tell me, this is how you use it. This is how you do it. Every time they come, they teach us. What do we teach them in return? Nothing. We give them these video games. So all the time they are playing with the video, so that we can be left alone. Let them play their games, we have our own conversations. We have never thought, even for a minute, that they need us. We need them, they need us. They thought they were smarter. They can use all this technology. This is how they are going to advance. This is what they need in order for them to become successful, earning millions of dollars. Ibn Khaldun came up with the idea. Now listen to this carefully. Kitab al-Ibar. I know about my time, but I don't know about the future time of my children. Do I? I don't know anything about my children. What kind of challenges they are going to face, I don't know about it. I can know something about it. I can say this, but the mistakes I did in regards to my own parents, I hope my children don't repeat what I did to my parents. Let them learn a better lesson than what I did from my parents. And I want them to learn something like that. This is known as ibrat. From something known, you're going to discover something unknown. I want to find out how are you going to react to my lecture tonight. The past, if the past is any lesson for me to know what you have done in the past, how you have reacted in the past, then I would say, yes, I think this is going to have an impact in this particular angle like this. The Quran is using Ibra. Ibn Khaldun did not write a separate book on ethics, but he wrote practical ethics. You see the difference am I making? He did not write a theoretical book about ethics. Jeremy Bentham, a secularist, he argued very correctly about the ability of human reason to reach correct conclusions. Immanuel Kant came and said, we need to purify reason from its all these, connections and structures, purify it so that it can guide us. His ethics of imperative. I know by nature, Kant says, I know by nature that I should be honest. I should not cheat. I know it. In other words, I have idea already about what my nature is. What Ibn Khaldun did for the first time, and I made the note for last night's lecture here, what he did was that he brought revelation and reason together. He asked a question, and this is what I've discovered in his Al-Ibar, in his history book. He asked the question in the history book. For example, when he writes about the way Uthman the Caliph was killed, he gives the story and then he says, now, let's discuss how did he come to that fate? What happened to him? Why did the people not like him? No other historian has asked that question, by the way. Once you idealize the figures in the past, you don't want to see anything critical about them. Usman's behavior was critical. He was nepotistic. He favored his own family members. That's how the Banu Umayyah came to the power. Now, all historians were not as daring as Ibn Khaldun was. Ibn Khaldun said, well, why did he do that? When he knew that Banu Umayyah did not like the Prophet, Banu Umayyah were completely against Islam, why did he give them such importance here and there? If he had not sought their help, and he had not found them to be helping them, he would have been far more better. In other words, what he did was that Ibn Khaldun laid down for us the pillars of ethics. Pay attention to this. This is the heart of the Quran, by the way. I won't have a lot of time to develop all ideas, but in my mind at the moment it's very active because I'm writing a book. I must tell you that I'm almost going to finish this book on Islamic ethics. And it's one of its kinds which will raise more controversies on my name. I don't worry about it anymore. There's no World Federation after me. They already killed me. In their own books I'm dead. So I'm not worried about that. I'm more worried about you, who are still willing to listen to me, despite all the negatives that float around about us. Scholarship is not easy. One of the challenges of the scholarship, I would say, one of the ethics of the scholarship is that if you know the truth, should you hide it? I told you very openly, nobody will say it openly, that look, the putting of the Quran on your head is not something that the Prophet did. Nobody will say it. Oh, all my teachers used to say the same thing. My teachers told me, in Iran, many times they told me, in Sunnat-e Payanbar nabud. This is what the Prophet did. Dar zaman Payghambar kitaba nabud. Quran were not in so many copies available for everyone to put it on. In Siffin, there was the first time that the leaves of the Quran were put on the head by Muawiyah's troops. They separated the leaves, pages of the Quran, not Mus'haf, not Masahif, not books. They brought those. They brought those in Siffin to fight against Imam Ali. They used the Quran as a weapon. This was Banu Umayyah were capable of doing anything. You don't know how evil these rulers were. The only exception was my son, Umar ibn Abdulaziz. Umar was much better. The second Umar, as they call him, was truly a pious man. Of all these Umayyads who came. What we find, Ibn Khaldun is giving us a gift. I wrote this paper and I presented it in front of many people. For a moment they were shocked, but I said yes. I'm going to speak my mind in accordance with the research that I have done. I'm not afraid of anyone. When the research shows me something, I will say it. It's not there. Abbas Qumi, you know this Mafati book that you read? Abbas Qumi was such an honest man. He used to say, you know, for a long time, Hadith Qissa was not part of the Mafati. For a long time. Some ulama questioned him and said, how come Hadith Qissa is not part of your book of devotions? He said, I haven't found a proper standard for it. Haven't found a proper authority for it. He was as honest as that. You try to tell this thing, oh, they will hang you with your, because they can't afford to hear this. You raise these questions about the rituals that we are performing many, many times. You can't do anything, you can't say anything. What Ibn Khaldun is telling us that if you don't speak up, then your enemy will use you to speak against you. You better speak with honesty because you are an insider. You still love your religion. You still love your books. They don't. When they will write, they will cut you into pieces. They will insult you. And you will not be able to bear it. Then you will say, oh, they are Orientalists. Yeah, Orientalists, because you did not take up the challenge yourself. If you took the challenge yourself, then they would not have written the way they have written it. In a Harvard meeting, colleagues were discussing me, by the way, and I was told by my colleague, another colleague from religious studies, Professor David Little was telling me that, they were saying that you are fundamentalist. Me, Abdulaziz, Sachedina, is a fundamentalist. They were discussing me in the institute, in the Center for Middle Eastern Studies. And David Little was very angry. He said, no, he's not fundamentalist. He's an intellectual. So, now, you understand what it is, but these are the nuances of the academic world. Fundamentalist means closed-minded. Intellectual means liberal. Now, my colleague was fighting for me to be a liberal, and others were saying, there were Jewish colleagues of ours from Hebrew University, and they were saying, no, Abdulaziz is a fundamentalist. Tell the Qur'an this, that he's a fundamentalist. That means he's an Orthodox Muslim. That's what they mean. Ibn Khaldun saying, you need something very, very important. Imam Ali put the statement very clearly. And I want you to remember this and keep it in your heart all the time. The abundance of ethics is the secret of livelihood. Imam Ali said to Abu Dhar al-Ghaffari that your sincerity is causing more trauma for Banu Umayyah than anything else. You are sincere, you are truthful. They are afraid of you. When Abu Dhar was thrown out by Muawiyah, he was deported. They said he should not be living in Medina because he's causing problems for the Umayyad rule. Imam Ali came with him and said, Abu Dhar, I know you are sad. I know you have to leave Medina. I know you love Medina. But believe me, Abu Dhar, as long as you are alive, they're afraid of you. Because you threaten them with taqwa. With moral and spiritual power, you threaten them, which they don't have. And I believe that if you are holding on to any kind of claims without the taqwa, you will be thrown around like a football. Otherwise, they can't touch you. They can't touch you. How much they're trying. The leader of ethics is spiritual and moral awareness. Good character ethics is founded upon 3 values and 4 pillars. 3 values, I've already spoken about it. Let's come to 4 values. Pillars. Getting very close to the end of the lecture. Patience. It's the first pillar of ethical behavior. You need to cultivate a lot of patience. Here there are mothers sitting who deal with their children day and night. If they don't have that virtue of patience, it's impossible to handle a child. And sometimes the spouse is much worse than the child is. It happens. In the real life, sometimes your husband is more childish than your children are. Or your wife is more childish than your husband. In other words, there are so many gives and takes. Patience is the ability to control anger and capacity to forgive. My brothers and sisters, we have very little forgiveness in us, including myself. I'm not excluding myself. We don't forgive very easily. When I look for child, I say, we keep it, and we don't want to forgive. The ability to abstain from hurting someone. That's patience. And this you can take it out, you can actually understand, you can actually derive these, deduce this, infer this from Ibn Khaldun's approach. Capacity to practice self-control without thoughtlessness and superficiality, without haste. That's the first pillar. Are you getting the first pillar? It is one of the most important pillars, and that's why as-sabru miftahul faraj. The Prophet is saying, patience is a key to all problem solving. You want to solve a problem? You need to be patient. I work in the hospital as a chaplain, and I find that the doctors are extremely patient, especially when the families attack them. When the families think they have not done enough, they are building a case against it, against the physician. They are very, very patient, but I've seen them, and I think most civilized behavior I've seen. I don't mean to say everybody is like that, but the ones that, because I work in the surgery unit and in the pediatrics unit, in the children's section, in the University of Virginia Hospital, as a chaplain. So I go in the surgery department, I go in, and I see that one of the most important elements of treatment is patience. How do you become patient? What do you do? Now, I can talk about it for the whole lecture, by the way. Just spend on one pillar, patience. And by the way, patience doesn't mean that you give in. The communists used to tease religious people, saying that, oh, you are cowards. You give in so easily. They used to talk about Jews like that. They used to talk about the minorities like that. Oh, you are too much easily giving in, because you are patient. Your religion requires you to be patient. We socialists, we are aggressive. We want to fight our rights. We want to get equal distribution. And they were very, very harsh on the religious people, to the point where Marx said, religion is the opium of the masses. Give them opium. Why? They don't say anything. Chacha, that's something new for you to learn. Religion is the opium of the masses. This is what Karl Marx said. The second issue is more important as we move on. And these pillars are actually derived from the Al-Ibar, the book of examples. Because human beings learn morals through examples. If you don't set good examples, don't complain that people are not following that. Your children don't obey you. Because they are looking for examples, they are looking for paradigms, so that they can emulate them, they can copy them, they can follow them. Modesty, Allahu Akbar, afif, ability to abstain from vices and illness in talk and deed. Afif. In Urdu we say iffat. Unko iffat nahi hai. Means they have no shame, so to speak. Unko sharmsari nahi hai. They don't have, proper understanding of how to behave. Leading to chastity, which is the fountain of all good. The Quran uses maghzuz. Lower your gaze. Learn to be bashful. Don't openly see like that. That's rude. This is what we call ta'fif, affa, means hold back. You like someone and you want to hold that someone, you want to kiss that someone, and afif says no. Wait a minute. See your limits first. Afif. If are you getting the Second pillar. These are the pillars on which you are going to build your character. Guiding to stop from shamelessness, miserliness, bukhel, lies, gossiping, slandering. This is all iffah. Iffah is not only hijab. There is hijab first in the Quran for men, and then for women. Yes. Men don't talk about their hijab at all. But the Quran says, yeah, you men, you behave yourself. We want an ideal society. First, the men should learn to behave with civility and shame. And if the men are the ones who begin, in Farsi, they say, chashim charani mi kone. And he's moving his eyes here and there. Shameless. And Allah says, I will punish you. I will reveal you to everyone. I won't let you go. God has made this a promise that He will always expose shamelessness of the people. Look at what Holocaust did. It showed the shamelessness of Europeans. In the name of religion, in the name of Jesus Christ, they killed thousands and thousands and thousands. Shameless. Allah exposed them. Allah gave them the lower people power to fight back. What is happening in Lebanon? For a long time in Lebanon, the Shias were crushed, both by the Sunnis and by the Christians, because they had the power. In the Shia areas of Lebanon, there were no schools, there was no running water. Can you imagine Lebanon, a country, when you go now, you can see what it looks like, the south. South had no running water, had no schools for children. South had nothing, because they were Shia. The power was in the hands of the Ahlul Sunnah. And they were in alliance with the Christians, Maronite Christians. And they controlled it, and Allah exposed them. And this Hezbollah is a way of Allah teaching them, look, there will be one day when Muslim will stand up and say, you wronged me all the time, and I took it from you. This is akhlaq. This is the ethics of politics. This is the ethics of history. How far can I go? I will stop here, and I want to bring to your notice what Kufa looked like today. Yesterday I gave you a promise. I said, Ammar Yasir had a good conversation with Imam Ali. Ammar Yasir was a daring person. And I want you to see the daringness of Ammar Yasir. Ammar Yasir came in open. Look the way he summed up the entire history and the ethics of history. I want you to pay attention to this. Whenever a combat was fought, person to person, the person who came to fight the enemy, they read a poem stating their intention. This is known as rajas. This was the rajas of Ammar Yasir. And he says, نحن ضربناكم على تنزيل القرآن. We fought you when the Quran came down. Who did we fight? The Banu Umayyah. We fought you when the Quran came down because you were not willing to accept it. And today we are going to fight you again. فَالْيَوْمْ نَضْرِبُكُمْ عَلَى تَعْوِيلِهِ. Now there was a question of interpretation. Who becomes the Khalifa? At that time it was the coming down of the Quran. You did not believe in it. We fought you. We fought you very, very hard. Today you've come back. You're fighting us on the matter of its interpretation. The interpretation of the Quran. Who should be the ruler? Inni ja'aluka linnasi imama. I'm going to make you an imam of the people. Ibrahim is being told by God that I'm going to send you as Imam of the people. وَمِن ذُرِّيَّتِي يَا رَبِّي. And among my children, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لَا يَنَالُ أَحَدَ الظَّالِمِينَ. I will not make the wrongdoers leaders of this community. See the ethics. I will not let the wrongdoers rule. I will not let them fight in the name of the politics and spoil the community. Imam Ali knew and Ammar Yasir, they were crying with each other on this particular issue. Mawla, at that time they were fighting Muhammad and Mustafa, and now they're fighting you. At that time it was for the coming down of the Quran. They said, oh, this is all nonsense. Come on, they're making up stories. Who is this Jibreel? Oh no, there's no Jibreel, nothing, nobody can. Didn't you hear Yazid saying it? Didn't you hear Yazid saying it? When he saw the head of Imam Hussein coming from Karbala towards Damascus, and he saw the head, he said, you are the one who claimed to be the Prophet's children. There was no story about revelation. There was nothing like the Quran or anything. It was all humbug. You see? Any different? Ammar Yasir is becoming the son of Imam Ali. Just as in Karbala it was Ali Akbar who became the son. And he was the one. And I'm not used to saying the Messiah in the month of Ramadan, but here I'm just trying to tell you. You want to read more about it? Then open Al-Ibar of Ibn Khaldun. Ibn Khaldun was very fair-minded historian. We don't agree with him on everything. But what he said is worth reading. And what he said was quite clear. That there was a battle between morality and immorality. There was a battle being fought. My brothers and sisters, if you ask me today, what is happening in the world today in 2019, isn't it the battle between morality and immorality? Don't you see? Please, don't you see? It is there. I don't want to call names, I don't want to say who is fighting whom, but you know it every day. You open the newspapers and you read every day the stories one after the other. And all these stories are sadly making you realize how powerless you are. Doesn't it make you sad? You think that you can't change anything. For Rifat Mamdani and others like her, they are making a point that you can make a change. You can really change the history. There was only Bibi Zainab who fought. There was only Sachedina who fought. There was only Fatima Kubra who fought. There was only Umar Raab who stood out and saying that I'm not going to, keep quiet. I'll announce every day that they took away my baby 6 months old and killed that baby in the name of their own government. Do you see the power of morality? Ethics has its own power. Don't underestimate ethics. It is going to hound you if you disobey it. And those values are very important to keep in mind. اللهم ارزقنا توفيق الطاعة وبعد المعصية وصدق النية عرفان الحرمة واكرمنا بالهدى والاستقامة وسدد ألسنتنا بالصواب والحكمة واملأ قلوبنا بالعلم والمعرفة يا رب العالمين. Give us knowledge. We're hungry of knowledge. We're thirsty of knowledge, Ya Allah. And we want to repeat what you taught your Prophet, Rabbi Ighfir. Warham. Anta khairul rahim. Rabbi Ighfir. Warham anta khairul rahim. Whenever you are worried, my sisters, my brother, whenever you are worried, just read this dua, Rabbi Ighfir. Warham anta khairul rahim. You will find that your heart heals. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. ربنا